Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mario Kart Central Prime Time. We're here with a very interesting match, one of the semi-final matches that has unfortunately had to be delayed until now. However, it does mean we do get to do a prime time on it. I'm joined today by Awoken. Awoken, how are you doing?
I'm actually doing great, and I'm very excited for this match in particular between Fitness Park, as they'll be called, and World Friend, because we are going to be getting a very early glimpse at the new playoff rule set here, I've been
Yes.
told.
Yes, we've just been informed that they are doing they're playing with the new repick rule, which means they cannot pick any previous tracks played over
The entire set.
the entire set. So definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out, whether it means teams bust out their strong tracks early or use some of their weaker tracks, and then bust out the strong ones later. It's definitely going to be a lot of mind games for both teams. So very
Yeah,
excited to see how it pans out.
and another interesting element about this is that every race matters now. There's no such thing as garbage time anymore because if you've already mathematically won the war, you can just pick the other team's best track so they can't use it later on. So you're going to see teams that want to get out to an early lead
Yeah,
so they can
exactly.
take advantage of uh kind of working their way around the meta here.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a lot of mind games. Going to be a lot of just a lot of interesting factors that both teams are going to have to take in when it comes for the new tracks. I believe we do have lineups, but just a little quick note: these teams have played each other before in the regular season.
Yes.
The World Friend won that match by 60 points, and it was one of only two matches that Fitness Park lost to. The other one being ZX. So definitely
Yes.
interesting to see how this one's going to be panning out.
Yeah, I am familiar with both of these teams. I did play in D2. Both of these teams blew us out. We went 1-9 in D2, but I did get to play against I got to play against WF and I watched our war against ERB, so I am familiar with how these teams play. I believe World Friend finished with the top record in the Div, if I'm not mistaken,
It
or at
was
least
Fitness
tied
Park.
with it.
It was Fitness Park with 8-2, and then World Friend with 7-3. So both very, very close.
Right, right. Yeah, no, two very threatening teams. World Friend, I believe, coming off of a D1 appearance from last season. It was either a D1 appearance or a Worlds appearance, one of the two. But they were absolutely a force to be reckoned with. A lot of people picked them as favorites to win this div, and with this lineup of just so many community veterans, you see Mars, Ramsu, Huglo, players that have been around forever since the World Friend Dynasty area. Same Zakaria as well, and the way they've been able to maintain themselves as a top team for 5 years now, is it? Has been just really incredible to watch.
Pretty much, they've stayed in the top flight of the divisions for so long, just contending in the likes of D1 and D2. Just to note though that Zachariah, Mitis, and also Roms, all finishing within the top 10 of the indivs, all with averages of 91 plus. So we're hopefully going to see some very strong running from this team alongside the other team as well, also having three of their players finish within the top 10 indivs, all with an average of 90 plus. So definitely going to be seeing a lot of play in the front pack, of course, with Aptix known as David Lid on, or Lade even, sorry, on MKC, Fritix, Zazy, Pacome, Zewo, and Popoff as well. Pacome, I think he's underrated personally. Look out for Pacome. He's going to be doing business.
For sure. Yeah, the only Italian in a room full of 11 other French players. It feels like 150 Lounge. Uh,
Minus the Japanese flag.
yeah, yeah, it's just France instead of Japan. I played a 150 Mogi earlier where I was the only American, and I scored 57. So we don't talk about
Oh,
that.
we've been there. We've all been there with Lounge, I feel. We've all
Yeah.
been that one standing solo person in a
Right.
sea of other nation.
Regardless, though, I would not be surprised if this room was close to being gathered here. If we can see how many me's are on this globe at the moment.
All
0.
room.
Okay.
That's a fun
Are they?
start.
They're probably opening all 5, I would imagine.
I would like to hope so. Otherwise, Primetime's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
The
You
other
have any bets on
I
who's going to win
okay,
this?
I would imagine it's an open oh 05 because the other POV has not even gone live yet.
Ah, oh,
Aptix, you said it was?
yes.
Yes, okay. So, it'll be a tiny bit longer. I'd imagine we're about to see it pop up, hopefully. But if I have to be honest, I'm leaning World Friend here. I know, World Friend did have the regular season win, and I know Fitness Park did finish with the better record, but
Mhm.
I trust World Friend's experience over Bree who has been around for a while, but still absolutely the newer team of the two. So I think the camaraderie of World Friend, who've been playing together for years and years, is going to give them just that edge to lead them over.
I think I think for me definitely we're going to be seeing this go to three matches. Ain't no way. I feel this is just going to
I agree.
someone's just going to go and sweep this. To me though personally, I don't know. As much as Bree has been the up and coming newcomers, of course, being a dominant force as a recent, of course, ERB just treading in the footsteps of them. I feel like ERB can go and take this if they just keep their heads cool, play well together because I have played against the likes of Fritix, Aptix, and Popoff in the past when they were on previous teams back when I was on Battle Brigade. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was definitely interesting to see how their chemistry
we have a lobby.
worked off of each other.
Yep.
And lobby is like just a friendly reminder as well. The winner who wins this match will be playing Jet Joker in the finals. So a lot rides on the line because
Okay.
World Friend have lost went 7-3. Their three losses came from ZX and Jet Joker twice, whereas ERB every time they've played have never lost to Jet Joker in the MKU season. So
Okay. Okay. So would be an interesting matchup to see if World Friend gets that revenge because here's my thing with World Friend. Despite their regular season records, this might be more true of World Friend Star, their dynasty era, not area, their dynasty era, but I still
mhm.
believe it does hold true. They don't just have like experience, they have playoff experience, and I think that's really important. Making adjustments over a best of 3 set. Like they can be down, but they are so mentally strong that they're never really out until it's mathematically over.
No, of course, yeah. They've been in playoff contention. They've been fighting for playoffs. They've done all of this for such a long time.
Yeah, multiple
Pretty much,
D1 winners on this team.
yeah, exactly. I've pretty much been doing it ever since the third iteration of Mario Kart Universal for a deluxe. So the 20, if I can math right, I don't know, like 20 plus seasons of MKU experience. So
Yeah,
def just a lot to
yeah,
be said about their mental being very, very strong.
yeah. There's probably about like 3% of the community that can claim to have played more Mario Kart than World Friend. And that's why I'm picking them here because I do believe that, especially in a playoff format, especially with the new format of no repicks, it's going to be even more just adjustments.
Mhm. I think it's also going to be a testament as well to how well these teams have been focusing on the DLC as well ever since it has came out. Because obviously, World Friend are going to be very adjust with the base game tracks. How adjust they are going to be to the DLC, of course, they're going to try and keep on top of it. Whether it's going to be one of their strongest suits, however, is going to be a different story to tell. Because after being so used to a base 48 tracks for God, what feels like 4, 5 years, I don't remember when the DLC dropped in relative to the game
It
runtime.
was about 5 years. It was about 5 years from 2017
Yeah,
to 2022.
yeah, and this team's been around since 2018, so about 4 years of just remembering, getting down the lines on the base game tracks, knowing
Yes.
where the item play strategies are. It's going to be interesting to see when it comes to the DLC for World Friend. In my opinion, I've not seen them play too much DLC. Whether they try and integrate it into their gameplay today, I don't know, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see whether Fitness Park try and capitalize on knowing some of the newer tracks,
Yeah.
on knowing the DLC. But very excited,
I
regardless.
can't I can't speak on the majority of World Friends for half, but Zachariah in particular, I have seen on the early like day one, day two leaderboards on the worldwide tops of a lot of tracks on 150. I believe he did was able to actually snatch a couple of early world records every time one of the waves dropped. So that's a player in particular that even if the DLC as a whole is an advantage to Bree, World Friend is definitely still capable of holding their own on it, especially with a player as fast as him to back them up around him.
Yeah, definitely. As we see players file into the room now at the moment, just waiting for the match to start, is looking to be very,
10
very,
in room.
very 10 in room, waiting on two more. Going to be an exciting one. I'm more excited to see the track picks, honestly, and
I
how
am too.
these two
I am
play it out.
curious. Are we going to be seeing like our Wario stadiums and stuff immediately, or are teams going to be thinking, okay, maybe we should save this until match 3?
Yeah, absolutely. So
So I think we're going to see at least one or two tracks that you really are just not going to be finding an MKU that often, and that's why I'm such a big fan of this rule set. I really enjoy the variety of the game as a whole, and I think that the game having variety should be celebrated rather than
completely,
just
yeah.
because we've all played enough 150 Lounge to have played enough MKS, enough DEA, enough RWS, enough Mushroom Gorge.
All the lounge staples and even more staples as well. Pretty much, you see a lot of like common teams picking like the war tracks. I know a lot of teams been picking Warriors Gold Mine around the division level that I play. Of course, RWS is another standout track. Singapore Speedway as well, although I feel like that's just because I play against a lot of inward teams. Maybe, I don't know. However, we're so used to just the tracks that are very fresh in our mind just from playing said 150 lounge format and of course in 150 wars. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see like what rogue picks are going to be picked out today.
Yeah. One track I've seen gaining a lot of notoriety in the higher divs specifically. I don't think it's from either of these two teams picking it, but I have seen a lot more, I think, North American players picking Chaco Mountain. This is becoming a pretty popular pick in the top two divs.
That's actually surprising, to be fair. I've known Choco Mountain to be a very like staple pick for some like teams who play inward because of how tight the inward lines can be at the very start of lap one, along with the drafting potential as well. But I know Choco Mountain, not one of my personal favorites. I can understand how it does work within the war system though, and it does work really well for those who are able to favor and get up into those top spots early. However, Shock and Blue are absolutely likely. Just I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think
It's a weird case of bagging the track as well,
it's
so
a
it's definitely
it's
interesting to see.
it's kind of a perfect mix track really because you have your three sets, you have the long glider. Shock and Blue are very effective on the track, but it's also super runnable because none of the shroom cuts are that big. They save like point 0.5, point 0.6 at most,
Yeah,
which makes for
exactly.
a super interesting balance. It can be ran, it can be bagged, you can do whatever on it, and I think that's why players are flocking to it because it kind of just works for everything.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know. It's one of those interesting tracks where it does work for everything, as you have been saying, Ali. I don't know whether teams will be using it today for said purposes. I feel like there are alternatives, very few alternatives, but alternatives to that kind of selection of tracks. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I know a lot of high dip teams as well as a recent. I feel like there's been a resurgence in Tokyo Blur ever since Wave One, but of
Good.
course that's been
We love
more
Tokyo
North
Blur.
American. You know what? We love Tokyo Blur. We do love
Yeah.
Tokyo Blur, but
Hi Sterling.
yeah, as we see
An
people
11th
join.
finally appear.
Imagine we have to start 65.
I would
How
not put it past him. It's only one more minute until we have to start 65. That is my phone going off. Apologies. Uh, I see now why these teams had to reschedule. I can say that much. But I did not have problem. Okay, there's changing these.
I
But
was
yeah,
gonna say.
I remember us not having problems playing against either of these teams as far as scheduling is concerned. So possibly just a busy day over in France, maybe.
I'm not too sure. I don't keep up to date with the European holidays, but last week was no di- no different.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. Probably both the teams having busy weeks. However, fortunate enough that we're able to get a primetime cast on this, as this is
Hopefully,
definitely was going to be one of the more like matches that were probably going to
yeah,
go under the radar unless if it
yeah.
was played.
This is going to be a very good match, I do think.
No, for sure. Yeah, we don't know who it is that we're waiting on at the moment, player wise, at least. As I do not recognize any of these Mii's, so
Yeah, I should recognize these memes, but I don't. All right, it is 15, so I would think. Isn't according to the rule set, room has to start now?
after 10 minutes of being open, I believe.
Right. So 12th or not. Okay.
Oh, there we
A
go.
12th
Top in the room.
12th person has joined. I'm assuming that's the right one.
Yeah,
But being informed by chat that it was an ERB member, Pacome, that we were waiting on.
I mean, regardless, everybody's in room now, so we should be
I
seeing things go underway.
I would hope that's actually the person and not just a random on guest F.
I was
But they haven't started yet. which is making me think it might not actually be the person.
Please don't tell me it's a random in room. If we have a random in room or already, no,
Okay, they're
things are getting
starting.
underway.
I would hope it's the actual person. We'll see if they actually pick with their team here, as we are finally 16 minutes late getting underway here with match one between Fitness Park ERB and World Friend.
As we do see ERB start off with the DKJ pick as they are dominating some of the top spots at the moment. I believe having top two, maybe 4-5 as well. So definitely an understandable pick. Wolfriend, however, going for Grumble Volcano.
Yeah,
So
two tracks that have been around in the meta for quite some time. Not the main tracks that you're gonna think of when you think of competitive, but these are definitely like the secondary runs. Like there's Warrior Stadium and then there's DK Jungle.
pretty much,
So
yeah.
they're gonna hold off on their Warrior Stadium, but they still want to get a runner going.
I feel like they might say Warrior Stadium at least for maybe more like from presence, maybe a top three potentially. As much as
Yeah,
it is just very beneficial for one, maybe 2-3 can protect. With the potential lag that goes on. Yeah, that's Bacom. That's Bacom. I recognize the name now from Summit this morning. So
right. And so we will be having our match underway here. I do believe we're going to have some color coded teams here, actually. We're going to see a lot of black Yoshis from ERB and oranges from World Friend, making our job easier. Thank you, guys. And here we
you
go.
appreciate. Yeah, interesting start as we do just see a lot of players just try and scurry to the top spots, drafting off each other. We do see Aptix with the Shroom, still a lot of ERB up there. I believe it's top
Mhm.
two at a minimum at the moment. Whether Aptix holds the Shroom for later gets bumped wide, so isn't going to be going for the cut. So
Yeah,
Triple Green's in pocket and the fire up. A
I would
lot of
imagine. I would imagine him kind of wanting to chill in the back for a little bit because it's mostly orange behind him. I don't. Okay, there is Bree in bottom four now, but they
mhm.
were just kind of leaving World Friend alone back there for some time. As now we're seeing some action in the back here with Xale getting a red off that he did pull from an 8th place box, and he's just gonna shroom up, get a chain here, and get a star in 7th. Okay.
Very generous pull. Potential of shock being in play as Orange Yushi in last just goes into Bill. Was about to say isn't using anything.
It
Potentially has it
was at distance. Was at distance. Could have it after Bill. We're gonna find out
forced into Star.
pretty
Unfortunately,
soon.
though,
Forced into star, and he's the only dodge on the map. So yeah, not gonna be a shock just yet, but that'll be an ERB top 2-5 here, as it's just Mars and Xale up here trying to hold it down for World Friend. This green is probably not going to be doing enough to take out both of those top two, as
I'm
Xale
gonna go
goes
for the
wide
white
to allow
boxes.
Mars more space.
The boomerang not really going to be offering much leverage, but it gets ghosted regardless, so wasn't going to be used anyways. Unfortunate potential that the last throw was able to throw off
More
the
World
top
Friend
two.
established behind the top two of BRE here. I would imagine Leo is BRE, right?
Yeah. That's Pacome.
Yeah, there will
The
be a
late shock
shock.
though.
Yeah, one of the ERB members actually maybe target shocked at the end there, as they only end up getting first. It'll be a 2-3 for World Friend, and I do think they won that race by actually quite a bit. That 9, 10, 12 from ERB hurting them a lot.
The first definitely does save it though.
Yeah, the first saves it. That's probably like a -8 we're looking at for Fitness Park here. But already, World Friend capitalizing off of their first track pick, but they're not going to be able to use Grumble Volcano again the entire rest of the set. So, going to be interesting to see how they
Yeah,
play around that, because that has been a track they've been picking more and more lately.
Definitely, yeah. Just a main staple to see as well as that race was neutral, so both teams not really benefiting,
Interesting.
but we're not really losing anything from that. As we do see the Dragon Driftway pick, a little bit of an underpick track, in my opinion,
Yeah,
from ERB. Does definitely help support with the 1-0 with the fact that there is a double set right
yeah,
in the middle of the item boxes. Set one.
yeah. It will be Moo Meadows, though. Moo Meadows is a track that has been being picked by French teams for forever. This is nothing new to us, and
No,
I'm one of the few Moo Meadows enjoyers in the community. I know you're probably gonna say you don't like this track, and that would be
I,
expected, but
I apologize. I do not. I've seen it too much.
it's fine. It's fine. I know I'm alone.
Someone's got to support the cows, though. Yeah, no, as we see, this does benefit the inwards as well, being able to take the tighter line, also being able to draft up early as well. The early shrooms are definitely going to be able to benefit the Wolfram mid pack that we have at the moment. Xale getting hit out early on 0 coins, so it's left in the back with an ERB bottom 2 right behind them. So
Yeah, if I'm Xale, I'm just hanging out in the back for the rest of this race. You have trust in your teammates that they're gonna hold down the front for you, and you got to watch that Black Yoshi that's creating himself quite a bit of distance in last. Not quite shock distance yet, so he's not going to stop until that Black Yoshi gets there, if he does at all. But I think the back spots are just going to try and catch up, not going to try and do anything fancy here.
no, nothing particularly crazy. Yeah, Black Ocean last doesn't seem to be slowing down, as it does look to be a bit of a world friend domination in the front. ERB definitely trailing behind, but don't know who the green Yoshi is on the minimap, but
I want to say that was ERB from last race, or no, that was, it might have been light blue that I saw. But Green Yoshi no longer in the front, and World Friend will be looking at 1-3 for the moment, as unfortunately Xale gets trailed into the shortcut.
I think it was potentially a nano snipe from his own teammate. The angle just not going through, and the nano just coming up far too early. But
Yeah.
the shrooms at the end definitely meaning he might be able to get a spot. Yeah, just holding on to 8th there.
Yeah, ERB getting 6, 7, 10, 11 is
Top
interesting.
3 for
Yeah,
World
it'll be
Friend.
Zeo and Fridix are able to kind of mix up their spots a little bit. Yeah, that top 3 is gonna break World Friend out into a bit of an early lead, as they find themselves on 2 for 2 track picks and sitting with roughly plus 10-ish.
Yeah, plus 12 that race. That top 3 definitely doing work for them, whether they're able to capitalize. And we do see the Wario Stadium get
Right
picked
out of
by
the
World
gate.
Friend.
Interesting. I thought they'd save it for match 2 or 3. But
They want it gone. They want it gone.
yeah. Yeah, they don't want ERB to take it from them at an inopportune moment. I guess just burn it and then use their knowledge of a deep pool of tracks to win the later matches once the more conventional, Wario stadiums and Moo Meadows are out of play.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Holding that top 3 is going to be a bit of a challenge, considering the fact that 4, 5, and 6, if they do well spacing-wise, can definitely pull the likes of triple greens, can go up and kill at least a couple of the top spots with ERB.
Yeah,
So,
Zachariah gonna have to be careful that he doesn't bump his teammate here. Looks to have succeeded in doing so, and I think Popoff just redded his teammate.
Popov accidentally reading the teammate. Yeah, we do. World Friend holding what looks to be a very tight top 3 at the moment. We do see ERB
can't
try
find
to
the
break
box.
into it.
There'll be a lot of nanos already on the ground. It looks like lap 3 right now, but not actually the case. Xale still has yet to find himself an item this race, and he still can't get one. On a pretty comfortable coin count of 8 though, so able to keep his front spot. And
Oh, first getting green sniped, at least from the side. It looked like, as we do see ERB take over into top 2. Well, for now 3, 4, 5. That horn from Popoff, absolutely huge, able to break away the World Friend players and just allowing Zao to have a very strong lead, as it does seem to be Xale up here by themselves.
great team play from World Friend there. Xale forcing Popoff wide with the horn, and then his mate redding him, allowing World Friend to take over 2, 3, 4 now. Really just working together, even though it was only to get one person. What a back.
That was a really clean back. Not much could have done there. The bomb isn't going to really do much unless a lot of ERB are
Surrounded by his teammates, yeah.
Yeah,
That's actually good that the bomb was ghosted. However, it'll be a Bree top 2 here. Fire's actually a great item for this situation, though. It's not quite going to reach first, but Xale and Zakaria now find themselves back in 2-3. Be careful of the nanos.
Fire is definitely better for the short term with dealing with the players that are barely ahead of you and not really in the long term of trying to reach the players in first. But it does still seem to be Wolfram 2-3, as they do have to acknowledge the plant behind them. Looks to be a 2-3-4.
Yeah, this looks like a Bree first to me. So World Friend's just gonna have to hope to salvage all the rest of the spots behind.
ERB
The
holding
blue
blue as
will,
well.
yeah, the blue will just be going to first, and Mars might sneak into third here.
It's definitely looking like to be a 1-0 for ERB. A 1-3-5 at least. But the
Yeah.
2-4-6-7-8 just dominant showing from World Friend in the mid pack. So still very tight. The 1-3-5 does
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Might have another tied race on our hands, actually, or at least close to it. That 1-3-5 helping ERB out a lot. As we're looking over here at the scores, poor Fridix on 4 after 3.
I mean, if he's doing his job of staying in the back or just
Yeah, if he's doing
unfortunately
his
getting hit out,
yeah, if it's for the
who
team,
knows?
then it's okay. That's the great thing about 6v6. You don't have to score well to be contributing to your team. Like you can score like 40 something, but if you're managing the back and pulling shocks the entire time, then that 40 is like more valuable than the rest of your team's 90s.
No, exactly. Yeah. Not seen too many shocks though, this war so far. So I think it's only been the
Yeah,
one that we
just the
have
one on
seen it.
Grumble at the very end, right? So far in these 3 races, World Friend will maintain themselves a 10-point lead, losing that race by 2, but it'll be Mount Wario here.
One that definitely benefits the tops and bottoms that ERB have. The 135 can definitely gain an early lead with this track. However, the bottom spots with the early shroom cut at the start of lap 1 definitely going to be able to capitalize off that. It's just going to be a case of whether any triples are pulled and cause
Does Xale go for
destruction.
the empty trick to get into first here? No. Okay.
Opts to play it safe.
And Xale's gonna
Doesn't
take
get
his
the
box, actually. It'll be a coin, but like still, that's the only box in the entirety of lap 1, so that's a very important set to establish yourself in the race early, as it'll be a Bree 1-3, maybe top 2?
depending on whether Pacome can get the draft and is barely able to hold on to the top 2. However, we do see another World Front player do draft up. Looking to be top 2 barely. Xale not getting the item he would have wanted. I don't think Shroom really does anything for him there, as Friddick's right next to him
Now
with
it's
the
to navigate
green.
this trail, and yeah, is gonna get hit. Xale probably has to play this race from the back now. Only on 1 coin, no items, but
On
it's
getting
already a
blued.
World Friend bottom 2, I believe.
Blue getting horned
So
on the minimap from what looks like to be ERB, as well as they do hold the dominance in the front spots, looking to be it's
top
either a
3.
you'd like to think it's top 3. Aggressive backs with the item is going to get redded out.
Yeah, Mars kind of has to make that play there, get himself into a front spot if possible. And like World Friend, obviously World Friend needs Shock at this point, but Shock won't be as effective if it's not Mars up there helping his team to effectively kill out the top 3 with the Shock that they are trying to pull. There will be a
Second blue
blue.
is
Blue
out.
is very helpful, but I don't know if it's enough unless there's a Shock.
It does seem to be I don't know who is ahead. We do see Iptix here backing his fire, managing to get one of the World Friend players. 1-4. Four Shrooms not able to do anything aggressive, but might
Yeah.
be able to catch up into third.
Yeah, Mars has found his way into second, but that's going to be basically all of the front presence here. Actually, Bromson and Xale making their way into the front. It'll be a 2-4-6, I believe, but a lot of odd spots from Bree. They're going to win that race by, I believe, 6.
Yeah, no,
Is
but
right.
ERB were just very capable of keeping the top spots within that race. Didn't seem like World Friend had enough to kill them with, as much as World Friend were just sitting in 2-4 for what was the vast majority of that race. So
Yeah. Through 4 races, we've got a tie. Bree's only won one race by 2 here, but it is much closer. All of these races have been close. The biggest gap of a race has been plus 12 so far through the first GP of this. So, very heated up to this point, and it's only a matter of time before one of these teams gets a huge race to break this war open.
we do see the first DLC pick as well, with Sydney Sprint going on the board. All these teams just pretty much picking out base game at the moment, as they decided to do a split of some sorts between Sydney Sprint and New York Minute. 2 tracks that do definitely benefit the mid spots for drafting within the early laps for World Friend. So
Yeah. New York more of a bagger in the long term, though. I feel like Shock's so effective on lap 3, and if you can pull a star or a bill for the spiral turn at the end of lap 3, then you just kind of win.
oh, it's disgusting. It is absolutely
Yeah.
disgusting.
It will be Sydney, though. Another track that I've actually been seeing more of lately.
Same. Yeah. It's been being played as quite a lot. It's interesting considering the fact that shot can be vitalized with how long of a track it is, spanning I at least think barely the sub 2 minute mark in 150 time trials. So it's going to be interesting to see as we do see a lot of reds pulled at the start. Trails getting fired off already. Xale just wanting to keep the shroom and trying to get into the front as early as possible,
Yeah,
which
they
he
use
does
that
so.
to establish himself in first. Not 100% on who's behind him. It will be Zachariah, but gonna
I
get
think there's
taken
also
out
Mars
there.
as
And
well.
now alone in first, and the smart
Oh,
bounce is gonna do it there for
devastating spot
Xavier.
bounce.
Yeah.
Now does establish himself within the back, managing to pull a red, able to kill and make sure
Everybody
somebody.
getting hit right now. Everybody getting hit right now. Xale
Shells
already
galore.
found himself back and forth. Every finals match will be tomorrow. The only one we'll be streaming is D1.
The back
Nice back from
boomerang.
David there. Or from blanking on his name, I'm sorry.
Aptics, there we go.
Haptics, yeah.
Zale finding themselves in the back, slowing down, potentially now trying to go for the shark. Only pulling a star though.
Yeah,
As,
kind of needs to at this point. A lot of front presence from Bree. There will be World Friend in second, but that's not enough to be winning this race here. A lot of split among the pack. You see a lot of black everywhere and a lot of orange everywhere. Okay, Aptics. POV on POV violence here.
just doing it for fun, honestly.
Yeah, and only going to be pulling Golden Crazy 8, which is not the greatest, and not going to get out of the way of the blue there. He backs this bomb. I know he does.
Oh, absolutely.
Misses the chain, but a bill is a great item here for
Definitely,
this
yeah.
situation.
Especially considering there is an extension area. Not opting to use it though, as Zale also goes into his. Whether we see a shock behind any of these bills, I don't think either of them are at distance, so it's just going to be a case of who can catch up and who can maintain those top spots.
Xale holding a golden, yeah. So, Worldfriend has found themselves in first with actually quite a break. However, it looks like a Bree 2-3 just looking at the map. But this pack is so close. If you pull a star, you win.
Pack is
Or
also
you
very
get second.
congested as well, so when items fly about, chances are it will hit. Potential damage to be done with the fire? No, ups to play it safe. As Bree at least secure 4-5.
Yeah, 2-4-5 even. It'll be once again an extremely mixed race. I do believe Worldfriend won that by a small margin, but every single one of these races have been within like a 6-point gap. And I think that was either like a -2 or -4.
Yeah, no, still keeping with the theme of very tight races. Only a +4 for World Friend, so whether they'll what they're going to be able to use to capitalize on with now, as it does just seem to be a lot of the base game, that only being the first DLC track mentioned, as we do see LA Laps getting picked by ERB, so we are now delving into the DLC, seeing some of those tracks get knocked out, knowing that they can't be used for later. So
Yeah, they're going to have to show up eventually. I mean, you can play this format among just the base game, but good luck.
hmm
We are going to be going there. So, welcome to Who Pulls a Shroom, the track.
I could say that for a lot of shroom starters, to be fair. TM,
I mean,
this,
this is kind of the track for it, though. The cut
it's the worst.
halfway
It's the
through
worst
lap one
contender
saves
of it.
so
No,
much time.
absolutely. Yeah, it's just going to be a case of whether the back spots opt to try and bag, as the little strip of coins are very useful right after the set for bagging. You're able to just easily get yourself up to 7-8 coins if you are in the
Yeah,
mid spots and just throw into the back immediately.
the red I don't think connecting onto Mars from pop off there, but Mars is gonna, I think, just fail driving and find himself out of first. As is pop off, is gonna get Shroom past, but not gonna be driving the fastest himself here. As it looks like mostly World Friend up here, but Bree will be holding down top two.
Does look to be, yeah, as we do see Bree in the bottom though. Whether they are going to be holding onto the likes of Shark or the likes of Blue will be yet to see, as we do see Bills in the bottom spot right now.
Already been 30 seconds here. So this could definitely be one of those early shock type races. You can see the pack already starting to spread out quite a bit. A great snipe from Pop Off there. Not going to really matter that much in the long term, but
A lot of world friend around him, so does have to be concerned of the likes of the boomerangs, as they are probably going to be targeted for him.
yeah. Gonna be 1-3 from ERB here, as I believe. Yeah, Mars up here, Zachariah up here. Top spots still split, as are the bottom spots. But
All
I
the
do
bomb
believe
from
Bree is
Mars.
taking over more of them. And yeah, Wolfriend is just dominating this mid pack.
Pretty much 2, 3, 4, 5 as Pop-Off does pull reds, manages to kill Xale.
Triple Red's such a good item for this situation.
And a Bill
And
afterwards.
so is a Bill.
Maybe.
All right. Xale gonna need something from this glider. He might not get these boxes though. Okay, he will from the lag, but Golden Triple Shroom's not gonna cut it. He's not gonna miss. He's gonna miss this last set, and he's looking at the bottom spot here.
Yeah,
As
blue
far
was
as the
being
pack,
held.
it's still close. Popo finds himself in second. Is he getting first?
He's getting hit on the line, but not able to count.
No,
Oh, he got
passed
second
him on the line. Or Hugo passed him on the line. It looked like he was getting first there for a moment, but Hugo able to pass him right at the end there. It'll be a 1-3 for World Friend, but a lot of mid pack from ERB. That'll be another very small ERB win, I believe.
Yeah,
They're
definitely
holding down, I believe, 4, 5, 6, 7, if I'm not wrong.
Pretty much a lot of that mid pack, yeah, did look to be 4, 5, 6 at least. Was interesting though to see the Pacome through the blue, and Fretix was not able to dodge the blue in first. Could have been a way better race.
Still
for
a
ERB.
4-point war. These two teams just keep trading back and forth, back and forth. There has not been a big race yet. Like the biggest race. There's only been one double-digit race in this entire first half here. This has been insanely close. This is exactly kind of what we expected here. World Friend has held a marginal lead this entire time, though. Bree has not gotten that yet.
Not yet, at least.
It's bound to happen, though, especially if they're the ones to break this war open with the first big race, but I don't know when that's going to happen. I really don't.
Neither do I. It just seems to be sparks flying in the mid pack with all the items getting thrown. Both teams just trading back and forth. Who's in first? Who's in the mid spots? Every single race. So, as we do go into the second half,
second half of the first match here, I think you were absolutely right that this will be going 3.
With how close it's been so far, however, we could see potential track picks in the second set that could blow one of these teams out of the water, depending on which one needs it. So,
yeah, this is going to come down to, I think the second and third wars are going to be a lot less close. I think this is going to be the closest war. Second war is going to be a little less close, and third war is going to be less close than that, just because like these are tracks that they're super familiar on, and matches 2 and 3 are going to just become 1, a game of stamina, and 2, a game of, I guess, knowledge, for lack of a better term, of just how deep your track pool is. So
definitely
whichever team
is
has
going to be a battle of
pool is
wits.
going to win match 3.
As we do go into the second lap of Hyrule here, it does seem to be World Friend holding down at least a top 3, maybe even a top 4 with Xale with Mushroom in pocket. A lot of ERB in the back.
That looks like a top 5. Xale gonna barely survive that glider. That was not the prettiest, but able to hold on to his spot here. And World Friend might still be holding on to top 5, if not top 5 of top 6. So
we do see one of them back there potentially just babysitting.
Are going to need to actually pull the shock to keep something terrible from happening. As that blue Yoshi does get bombed, that'll be a World Friend top 5 going into lap 3. Is this going to be the big race?
It depends, as with Hyrule, if shock after the second set due to the Nisk at the very end is a very brutal shock spot. So whether Bree do have the dodges or the shock to try and capitalize
no one
on
in
that
anything right now.
speed.
A World Friend member entering a dodge.
Probably
and
the
no
safest
shock
position
being used yet. Everyone past second set.
Yeah, no shock inside.
Nothing back here. Yeah, this is it. World Friend has finally broken the war open. This is a top 5 here. That red Yoshi, unfortunately, falling a little bit down the pack, but that was the race that they needed. Zakaria getting hit out at the line, but doesn't matter. That's by far the biggest race that we've seen up to this point. That's, I think, like a plus, at least
it's a
plus 25.
It's a plus 26. So,
yep.
World Friend just breaking the barrier open. What we see from ERB now will be interesting with what type of like bagger or reset track they do throw onto the field, so that way neither team can use it later. But Wolfriend just gotta find tracks now to just establish that dominance, keep things moving in the
Hold the
front.
momentum, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this right here is the most critical race of match 1 here for ERB. They have to break the momentum before World Friend gets another one of those type races.
We see Wolfriend hovering over Water Park, debating on it. Of course, definitely a tricky situation to make. Hovering between both Water Park and Paris, they do opt to go for Water Park in the end. Tracks that are very good for inward, which I believe only World Friend possesses in their lineups. I think World Friend only has 2.
Yeah, they have
But
2. I don't believe this ERB lineup has one. I know there are inwards on ERB's roster, but I don't believe either of them are playing today.
yeah, no, as we do see Cap Cooper. That's a good name. I like the French name of Cooper Cape now. Cap Cooper
Yeah,
on
Cap
the board.
Koopa on the for the AE course here.
AE. Yeah, another contender of just a shroom track. Holding shroom until the cut, kind of in the Winding Rivers section, can be very lethal if you are able to have a lot of your team pull the shrooms and then just develop a breakaway with the items with a lot of with the fact that there's a lot of congested tight areas within the underwater tube section. So we do see ERB holding onto a top 2 at the moment. Double defense
Not
from
that much
Popov.
happening early on here.
ERB establishing a lot of tops though. It looking to be a top 4 at the moment. Popov just keeps pulling double defense, trying to keep protection for Fertix, potentially just trying to keep the top 2.
Yeah, more and more World Friends showing up in the back. More and more World Friend at shock distance here. This could escalate quickly if they pull the right items here.
Blue being one of them, breaking up some of the distance that top 3 have been able to make from ERB. Popov pulling the shroom, but of course too far away for his mate to drop out. Breaks with the bomb though, potential of Wolfram being behind him and that bomb going off. Does seem to be that Wolfram is relying on shock though. Xale in the back with triple shrooms, triple greens, all around his teammates, so if they do have the shock, he's not going to be dodging, but we do see Pacom come up in a star.
Yeah. Xale gonna go for the play here with these triple greens. Not gonna connect, now has to be careful of the smart bounce. Gonna hit onto his other green here. Pulling more triples, going for the snipe, not gonna get it. And yeah, Bree's just gonna hold these spots here.
The blue does come out. Whether a shot comes, it's going to be too late. Does just seem to
Blue
be the
comes, but it's
Bree
gonna hit somebody
top
past
4.
the line. Yeah, it's gonna be a Bree top 4, and they successfully blocked the momentum. That believe was that a top 4, 6, 7? 7, 8. What a race from Bree there, and this Bree might
That
have
swings
actually
him
just
into
taken
the
the
lead.
lead. Yeah, I think that just swung him into the lead.
By only 2 points, though. Pretty much taking the lead that Wolfriend had and just clinching onto it barely as they now dominate the top spots. Both teams now trying to establish tracks. One, obviously, trying to reset the momentum. One, trying to keep the momentum of the running pressure, so...
And their first big losing race, they're immediately heading to N64 Rainbow Road. I can't say I'm surprised.
It's just been a main game staple ever since it came out. It's like probably the most polarizing track in the game when it comes to the spots that they have.
It has changed a lot in the time that it's been out. Going from there were definitely periods of time where it was not prevalent in the meta, but around I want to say like 2021, it came back as like the best bottom spot track in the game. And you know, with World Friend holding that bottom 4, need to take advantage of that right now. We're gonna see maybe some silly little smart steering glider here, a new development. Yeah, Popov's gonna go for it. I would imagine most of this lobby's gonna go for it.
Yeah, the
At
S&T
this high of a
glider that
level,
has been discovered recently is very strong to start off with, but Wolfriend having the coin advantage in the pack, getting hit out early, pop off. But yeah, Wolfriend having the coin advantage in the back, very, very good with the fact that they were able to draft up as well. trying to get some of the early top spots. Aggressive plays from Xale, only able to take out one of ERB as they do hold top 2 at the moment. The fire, though, coming through, not being able to do much for either team. Just the simple 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, front spot's still extremely mixed at the moment. I believe it's ERB holding first and World Friend behind him. And yeah, that green Yoshi yet to get hit still for the time being. Fire's such a good pull here for Popoff. But Mars going to keep his trail despite the fire.
Isn't unable to protect it from the red either. Does get his item ghosted as well.
Yeah, Popoff going to find himself in last. And just hope that his team can make something happen in the front, but that is a World Friend top 2 at least. Can't quite tell what's going on behind the red Yoshi on the map. Maybe some Bree behind the top 2, but I don't know. That looked good for World Friend. Yeah, that's a slight win. That is a slight win.
Probably enough to get them back into the lead as well, but...
Yeah, easily.
A lot of the POVs on the back did just have to, both teams relying on their front presence at this point. As we go into the final 3 races, only a 12 difference between World Friend and ERB at the moment.
What do you pick here? Do you go a track to close out this war and secure a win in match 1, or do you want to save your heavy hitter for later on?
Both going with extremely...
They want to close it out. They both want to close it out now.
One going a track very predominant for inwards, the other one hindering them so much.
Yeah, the worst inward track in the game. Here on Mushroom Gorge versus one of the best on Paris, and it'll be Gorge. Did the inward switch off in time? I know this is a thing a lot of inward players do. If they see Mushroom Gorge as a potential track to be voted, they will try and scram their way over to Teddy Buggy. Did they? One of them did.
Yeah, we only still see the one inward in the lobby. Most likely going to be relegated to the back, unfortunately, trying to pull the shot. A shot can be huge with the bill extension in...
So big on this track.
In the cave. But yeah, we see Popoff opting to play in the bag at the start, only pulling 4 shrooms. Dodge is not going to be really able to be utilized until lap 2. But of course, we do have the gap jump that has returned from MKU, being as broken as ever, just saving time.
Yeah, probably even more broken than it was in Wii, if we're being honest. Because the track's a lot shorter now than it was in Wii.
Definitely
Looking at a 150cc world record in the 120s as opposed to the 140s.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see that a lot of ERB behind World Friend at the moment, who is seems to be a lone spot.
World Friend member with a break in first, but like that doesn't matter on this track because just one gap jump, not even 2 gap jumps, and the lead is gone. It'll be a horn in first though, so this will be interesting to see how Hugo plays this situation. Does he slow for the horn? Does he hold it for blue?
I think Ops 2 hold it for blue.
Double red so good for Popoff. Does Hugo get the horn off on Popoff, though? That's the question. There's a blue.
The blue is in play, forcing him to use the horn at some point, whether it be for the blue or for the red.
Avoiding the horn.
There's shock coming in, though.
I think third dodging there. I believe a Bree member? Yes, that'll be Aptix getting first there. I believe he just outsped the person that took gap, so it looks like a 1-3-4?
A lot of orange in the back,
that was his teammate. That was his teammate, actually. That's a Bree top 4. Oh, that's such a big race for Bree.
World Friend bottom 4 as well.
Another plus 30 on their track pick. And
yeah, no, ERB just wanting to capitalize now.
After the biggest race of the entire first half being like a +2, we're seeing fireworks here these past few races. We're seeing +30, -30, +30. this is quickly becoming a great war. It already was, but now even better as we heat up into, I believe, the final two races. And Bree looking to close it out on Rainbow Road 7.
Definitely a good track to close it out on when you have the top four. Going for shock or blue on that track can be extremely hard. And even still, whilst there is bill extensions, there's no real chances to capitalize on them.
Right, and we are going to see a bit of a mix from World Friend here. One Moonview Highway, one Shroom Ridge, but mostly GBA Mario Circuit here. Gonna be a World Friend track pick, and it'll be GBA Mario Circuit here. Possibly the most infamous mixed track. You'll always see every time this track is picked in a competitive lobby, you'll see 6 runners, 6 baggers every time. So gonna be interesting. With the lead Bree has, how do they play this?
I think it's just going to be a lot of babysitting and making sure World Friend don't get a huge shock. I think that's the play that they're going to be wanting to go for at the moment with the people running and the people bagging. Maybe just trying, if World Friend do manage to pull shock, just pull a shock of their own to shock it out their hands.
Yeah. We're going to see Xale opting to run with two of his teammates, actually. It'll be a World Friend top 3 early on. Just getting themselves some coins. They don't want to be too far ahead of last to keep them from being at shock distance, but do want to go fast enough to keep Bree out, as Xale's just going to drive slow here with this red in case Bacom tries to do anything fancy. Missing the back, and here comes the first blue. Does one of top 2 have a horn? Don't believe so. No.
Nothing. Just going to have to tank that blue.
Yeah, don't trail your mate, Xale. Okay.
They do still hold on
to the top 3.
Yeah. But Pop-Off holding a dodge in a high spot.
Yeah. A lot of dodges already on the map. We see 4 stars in the back. Something must be up back there. Pop-Off opting to hold his star, probably using it through the cut right here. Nope, gonna get... Keep holding it. Use it through the cut.
There's the shock.
And there's the shock. Bree able to catch Mars, I believe that was Mars. It was either Mars or Ramsu between his 2 stars. Keep him from dodging, and Pop-Off gets first here.
Yeah, no, ain't no way Pop-Off doesn't get first. The bomb just secures it.
Are you serious?
As ERB do go into top 2, he does back it tight on the line, looking to be a potential top 2-4, maybe even a top 3 for ERB. They've done really well with that shock.
Yeah,
to keep World Friend at the back. That's a bottom 3.
I think that's mathematically done it. If not, it's very close. World Friend is going to need a race 12 miracle here to...
It's mathematically over.
Is it?
44 difference between the team.
44. Wow, that was a bigger race than I thought. I thought that was only like a plus 16. But this last race is still important. Remember, this last race is still important. Yes, it's mathematically over, but yeah, you're going to see Bree picking Toad's Turnpike here to keep World Friend from using it later on.
Just to know that one of them has picked cows, and the repick penalty could come back and bite them in the face if it does accidentally pick that.
It does, yeah. We'll see World Friend also trying to steal a track pick for later on Mario's Gold Mine. Don't want Bree running that later, as you mentioned, it's becoming more popular.
Very good high spot drafter for spots like 3, 4, 5, able to just get better items than top 2 in the first set.
Yeah, so what is going to get eliminated here, barring it being Moo Moo Meadows?
It's not Moo Moo Meadows. It's DK Jungle.
Okay, so I don't think Bree is panicking too much over this one. I do think they were the team to pick it race 1 leading off, but I do think they're confident enough in their backups. Like they only picked it once throughout this war.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't think they're panicking too much over losing this track. Like, it would have been huge if they got to take Toad's Turnpike from World Friend.
No, absolutely,
but,
yeah.
This is a blow, not a big one though. They'll have to slightly work around this.
I mean, ERB obviously the first super bounce that you can do on that little flower at the start would have been quite good if some of their World Friends inwards were mixed into the top spots with ERB, but of course it just means World Friend getting rid of those tracks that can be quite harmful to inwards to ensure that they do stay within the top spots.
Yeah, that is another factor. Um, I do think there are definitely more inward unfriendly, I guess, runners. Like DK Mountain's a huge one. DK Mountain inward just cannot drive the second half of that track. And yes, it's long, but it's becoming a more common runner as people are getting better at driving it, mountain shortcut and all.
Definitely, yeah. That Nisk, whilst I believe Inward is able to do it, it's a very complicated setup. But it is just
Yeah,
not friendly at all to the inwards.
yeah, it's the second half in particular. I honestly, I might be wrong on this, but it might almost be faster for inward to go around gap on that.
I've not spoken to any inward specialists on the track, but I do just know from what I've spoken to them, it is just a tough track.
It is a nightmare, the second half on inward. So
Mm.
that could be something that you'll see Bree picking later on if it's a track that they've TT'd, but I don't know if they have. So I could just be waffling for no reason. Pop off, what are we doing?
I mean, did you see the smart steering play on lap one? And how
I
the
did.
smart steering just didn't work?
Yeah, it just didn't work. I did see that.
We'll just sweep it under the rug for him.
No. Thankfully, this race does not matter for them. It matters in the sense that like we won't be seeing DKJ again, but it doesn't matter in the sense that like what happens this race won't affect the score sheet. Bree is already up 1-0.
Differential means nothing when it comes to the semifinals best of threes.
Bree still won the race by quite a bit, though. Jesus,
the
there'll be
2-3-6-11.
a 94 MVP in D1 final or D2 semis.
Crazy. Funnily enough, I was looking back on their table. Nobody scored above 100 when they played in week 3.
It'll have happened again. And I would not be surprised if War 2 is a lot like that. I am on record saying earlier that I do think the second and third wars will not be this close. Like, yes, this was mathematically over at 11, but if you actually watch the whole thing, you could tell it was back and forth.
Oh yeah, definitely. This wasn't just one team blowing it out of the water. It was both teams coming at it with everything they got, and Bree just able to take the win in the end, 58 differential, but the war does not reflect that with the amount of back and forth races, the very small races at the beginning to the huge blows both teams were doing to each other in that second half. Definitely did see more fireworks pop off from just the neutral, very small races at the start. So,
all right, and match 2, I would hope is going to be starting at 0-0, but it'll be a small break here as we await the second lobby opening. So we will be back shortly. Okay, we are back. Yes, we are back. Hello, Nat. We are back
Hello.
here, awaiting. Okay, something's up. Looking at the players' recent, but we are sitting with 11 in room here, about to go underway with match 2 here. If you are just joining us, we did just witness a war that was a lot closer than the final score will show you, but extremely back and forth the entire way, and Bree ended up taking an absolute nail biter here, Bree 2, by a final that was mathematically over after 11, 521 to 463. But there was not a race of more than plus 10 until the second half. It was practically tied the entire way, and then it was just sparks flying back and forth. And it was a really, really great war. If you did miss it, I highly recommend watching back after we're finished here.
Yeah, definitely sparks flying within that second half. As we do go into the second set at the moment, just a friendly reminder, tracks that were picked within the first set now cannot be used within the second set. So the likes of DK Jungle, the likes of Grandma Volcano, the likes of Wario Stadium, we are not allowed to see these teams pick the tracks. Otherwise, they will get a penalty. So definitely going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see how the teams work around now, as it did seem to be a lot of the base game, a lot of the strong tracks used for the base game with the runners like Hyrule Circuit, Wario Stadium. Not too many resets used though, only the likes of GBA Mario Circuit and N64 Rainbow Road. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the teams do, as there was not that much DLC brought out from either side until
No,
around the second half.
no, but
So
this second war here is going to come down to who has the deeper track pool. And Bree winning the early, or ERB winning the early one with all 96 tracks available is really big for them as a team that I personally think overall is slightly better suited to DLC. Now that we're going to be definitely seeing more of that here in this second match, it's going to be interesting to
for sure.
see. I would not be surprised if this ends in a 2-0. Wolfriend has definitely been playing in what would make you think this is a match 3, but Bree having more DLC experience, I think. It's a battle of DLC experience versus just general playoff experience, as obviously the World-Friend roster, a lot of members from the Dynasty team still hanging around, multiple D1 champions here. But
It's definitely going to be a case of whether the DLC is now going to be capitalized or whether we are still going to see things from the base game get picked, because as much as we saw a lot of the common stuff get picked within the first match, second match, we don't know what's going to get picked. We don't know if the more obscure tracks from base game is going to be picked. We just saw a lot of the common tracks going into the first match. So whether we start to see now more common picks of the DLC in the second match, or whether it's just really obscure picks from both teams, should be an interesting one.
for sure, we are getting underway here, reading off the rules. And what are we going to see these two teams open up with? I don't know what I expected. I don't know what else I expected. I don't know what else I expected.
The Bree influence is pretty strong, to be fair, considering their
course.
name. Their name. I don't think it's it anymore, but I think they were Sky Garden for a little bit on Mario Kart Central.
They
As
were.
we do see World Friend bust out the Toad's Turnpike, which ERB did try taking away in that final race once it was mathematically over. So we do start off on Sky Garden there.
Bottom 5 from Bree actually to start this. Worldfriend able to get a lot of players into this lobby early.
Yeah, they're inwards as well, both in 1 and 6 respectively. Turnpike would have been a huge track, but I think ERB, knowing that the inward was in first, considering the track's tech does involve quite a few super bounces, might lead them to getting early leads.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this is played, because it's another track that's very runnable and also very baggable. We already see that Light Blue Yoshi, who we did establish as a Bree member. Again, it's mostly going to be black is ERB, and orange is World Friend, but there are a couple of alternate colors. The red will be a World Friend, the green will be
ERB, I
ERB, and
believe.
so will the light blue. Yeah, so easy minimap reading for us. Again, thank you for doing that. As we're gonna see Popoff slowing down here and
Has a
getting
shot.
shock. First POV shock of the set here. And he's gonna
He
be
rips
using it
an easy.
immediately. One of his mates and dodges, and yeah, just gonna nullify that World Friend top 3 as much as possible.
You do have to wonder what Pacome has, considering they did rip the shock that quick. It might be a second shock. However, it doesn't
Yeah, could
seem to
not
be,
quite
otherwise it
tell
would have been
from the
ripped.
bit rate what he was holding, but second shock is very, very possible, as he was one of the members that dodged. Is Popoff gonna try and get up here with these reds?
Yeah, it's all his teammates
Yes.
trying to kill them. They only need to kill first just for them to secure a good race. One of the reds getting broken.
Zakaria is going to avoid the green attempt there, and is going to hold on to first for the time being, but is going to get shroomed past here at the line.
Unless the
Unless
bomb
his
does
mom has
anything.
something to say about it.
And it did. Killing both
That's
him
an
and
overall
Pop.
net gain for Bree. That's a net gain for Bree. It blew up both of them, allowing Bree to make their way into top 2, but that's a lot of mid pack for World Friend.
Yeah, only the
Yeah, and
154 ERB.
Aptix, I believe, was the second Bree member that made his way into second, and is going to get hit out at the line, allowing a 2-3-4 for World Friend. And we are back to having these back and forth, insanely tight early races.
Yeah, only a -2 that first race. ERB looking again for the Dragon Driftway, as we were discussing earlier, does have the double first set, does mean the first is able to form a bit of a breakaway. Will Frank opting for the Bone Dry Dunes pick, though, a track that's generally associated with the likes of French teams across the community, but definitely does have its purposes within the metagame of being a good track that you can draft on, a really good track for bagging and for the shock, but also one that you can't underestimate in people running.
Yes. We're going to be heading to Dragon Driftway here. It was that or 5 straight Bone Dry Dunes, so kind of dodging a bullet a little here, and we're going to be seeing our second anti-inward track in a row.
Both inwards hanging in the back for World Friends, so whether they're going to delegate themselves to the back for shock or whether they are going to be on dodging duty is to be seen. But the beginning section can be a little bit hectic for first, however. ERB member able to hold on to it, being able to survive all the bumps. Does opt just to get his coin out, though, and rip it immediately.
Yeah,
Pop
getting
off
it bumped
not
off here at Nisk. So hard to take in the pack when you're just almost always going to get bumped around, especially with the characters. The weight stat, I don't know what they've done to the netcode of the game, but I feel like the weight stat just does not matter anymore. It used to be arguably the most important in the game behind like MT, but now I feel like you can be on the heaviest combo in the game and just some Yoshi Biddy can appear behind you and send you across the map.
Dude, I've had experiences where I've played with one of my friends and they are a Toad and Toadette main, and I've just been flung across, even on the old meta. So I don't think the weight stat existed to begin with.
Yeah, it did, but I think it was like wave 3 or 4 that it just stopped mattering
Definitely
for
dug into the
whatever
grave.
reason. But yeah, just changes like that have made the Dragon Driftway Nisk so much harder to do online. Unfortunately, Pop-Off pulling the worst defensive item in the game here,
Quite
as the red is
literally.
coming for him. Triple
Bree
ninjas
able,
just don't block anything. They just don't do anything.
Bree is able to secure a top 2 though at the moment with the lag for the minimap. Does seem to be Wolfriend in 3-4 by the looks of it.
Yeah, the story of this war has just been World Friend dominating the mid pack. It was the story of last war, and they're hoping to continue that momentum. It didn't end up amounting to a win last time, but it's definitely a winning formula.
Oh, but that's the shock. Blew out as well. Whether that was actually interesting. I couldn't tell whose shock that was.
Yeah, just kind of an unfortunate race for Popoff from start to finish. Couldn't get himself going anywhere, and gonna be ending up here, probably getting 11th. No, not gonna get passed by that bill. But
I mean, Wolfriend, I think, were able to clinch like a 1-3 just from the 1-5.
Yeah, that'll be a slight ERB win. They'll, I believe, take the lead, but not much of one. It'll be like a +2 or +4.
We're going to see that very small races trade back and forth once again. with these first two races, only not being huge wins for either team, but being enough to at least establish some form of dominance within the pack. So we see the track roulette, Sunshine Airport.
Yeah, Sunshine Airport. Bone Dry
Let's
Dunes
go.
has been getting picked. I think like four of the last 6 races, and we've yet to land on it here. So you can tell both of these teams want this really bad. Should it come to garbage time with a war being mathematically over, that could definitely be a track that one or both teams pick to keep the other team from taking advantage of it.
Nah, most definitely. Yeah, no, Sunshine Airport. Getting thrown out, whilst it can be useful for the 2v4, the 2-3-4 to draft up on and kill first. It does have a shroom cut, whilst not saving a lot, can be effective online if first place is able to break away and the teammates are able to catch up.
Yeah,
But Pop
Pop-Off
Off
getting trailed by his mate, unfortunately.
relegated to the back already again. It's pretty much all it's been
Yeah.
for him this war, unfortunately.
Yeah, just gonna get his coin count up and hang out with the almost entire World Friend roster here in the back.
Now he's
Not a
just
Bree
hanging out
member
with the
in
pros.
sight here.
Probably potentially going to be just keeping an eye, babysitting on World Friend, trying to dodge a shock that they pull, as we do see a lot of World Friend in the bottoms with triples trying not to kill themselves, and we do see them unfortunately TKing, but ERB just looking to clear those top spots. Hugo trying to do something with the fire, but it not working as Xale does get backed by Become
Yeah,
Red.
Bree has established a top 3 now at this point. Had it for quite some time now, but there will be more Bree here in the back. Actually getting a bit more presence, as like at this point on lap 1, it was, I want to say, World Friend 5 of bottom 7 almost.
Pretty much, yeah.
At least it looked like it from the mini map. But
Blue is going out though.
back
Could
spot's a little more
potentially
mixed now. Xale gonna force Pop-Off into a star. Good play there to prevent something from happening, but it does anyway. Looks like a Bree shock.
I think all the Bree that was in the back though were in dodges though.
More Bree dodging than World Friend, and getting World Friend after set. I do think that was a Bree shock. It is definitely shaking up the front spots, but it will still be more Bree up there than World Friend. World Friend still dominating that mid pack though. It's just what they do. It's just inevitable.
It's inevitable, but it does seem to be a lot of bottom spots from World Friend at the moment, as Bree at least looks to be clinching onto a top 2, maybe even a top 3.
Yeah. Bree, despite World Friend dominating the mid pack, Bree just able to pass them all at the end via either drafts or shrooms or coin count or something, but it'll amount to a much earlier breaking open of the war than we saw in match 1, as the Bree, who already had almost a 10-point lead, is going to expand it to almost 30, roughly, with a race that good.
Regardless, Bree is looking very comfortable right now at the moment, of course, having the game in hand. They do still want to win it, however, having the game in hand, being the points up at the moment, it does bring a lot of pressure onto World Friend, whether their mentality is being shifted because of the results in the races at the moment is going to be something to tell. As they do opt to go for Tokyo, making sense as it is a very good track for inwards. ERB going for Piranha Plant Slide, very interesting considering World Friend does have the inward advantage, as inwards do benefit quite greatly on the track.
Yes. It is going to be Tokyo Blur though from the... Oh, I spoke too soon.
Nope.
I thought the track would last a little bit longer, but we are going to be looking at Piranha Plant Slide here. Just breaking out more and more inward friendly tracks. Every time World Friend gets a track pick, it's going to be that. And Bree trying to mitigate it as much as possible. It's been successful to this point, sitting with a decently comfortable early lead. But not 100% sure what the results of race 3 were.
It was top 311, and then I wasn't able to catch on to the final spot for ERB. Regardless, we move on to Primetime Slide. Definitely one of the most technical driving tracks in the game. So whether which team is able to capitalize on it early, use the advantage of the last cut, all gonna it's all gonna pretty much be unveiled here to see who does get the early spot. Xale with the fire
Yeah,
has to be careful throwing it up.
Yeah, Bree able to establish the top two with that second Black Yoshi shrooming up there, but guess who's in the mid pack?
All of World Friend.
Guess who? Yep.
Oh,
We'll
what a
actually be
fun
also
kid.
holding on to bottom three here, or 9 bottom 2, but looking to be in shock spots. Last place definitely at distance.
Xale
And
just turning dodges at the moment. Probably just trying
yeah,
to rotate through his items.
is that a 2-3-4 from World Friend maybe? Could
Initially,
be. No, we do see another Black Yoshi up there, like a 2-4-5, something along those lines from World Friend. As Xale changed his star into last set of lap 2 here.
only getting 4 shrooms, which is unfortunate. Would have been liking a dodge at least behind the triple shrooms.
Yes. Gonna be able to pass a lot of the pack here, though.
And we do
A lot of his own
see
teammates.
a momentum shift in the top as World Friend do go to top 2, Bree in 3-4.
Yes. That's a shock, though. That shock dodged 0 people. Unless there was a ghost. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a ghost, but
Probably
as
a
far as
ghost,
we're
yeah.
seeing, no dodges on the map. And that is gonna end up just being good for World Friend. I would imagine it was a Bree shock in an attempt to get World Friend after set, but Bree just not getting the right items to take that World Friend top 2 out.
Xale's just getting killed, though, by the several Bree members that are trying to come back up.
Yeah.
It does seem to be a lot of World Friend in the top spots, though. Bree looking to at least clinch onto first, so...
Yeah. Unfortunately, going to be a bottom 2 at the line for World Friend. That could definitely... that matters more than you think. Like, going from, like, a 9-10 to a bottom 2 there. World Friend isn't going to be holding on to 2-3-4, though, I believe. So, seems to be a slight World Friend win. Not by much, though, because of that bottom 2. But might even be, honestly, a tied race. No,
I
win
mean,
or B, actually. Because of that bottom 2, yeah.
the bottom 2 definitely does come into clutch for ERB. Is unfortunate for World Friend to try and gain the momentum, as with inwards you definitely would have thought they would be trying to get into those top spots early, try and get that running potential, but it just seems like ERB are just burning through tracks that World Friend could be utilizing for later and capitalizing on them as well, as we do see them with the 30-ish point lead at the moment. However, we do see Tokyo Blur come out. Very good drafter, very good for inwards as well. So if this is World Friend's chance to capitalize, it better be now. Otherwise, we don't know whether it's going to come later.
We are going to be looking... Is this our first DLC track of this second match here?
I believe so.
Yeah. Still, despite, having to... They're going to eventually have to start picking more DLC, but it's still just been base game for these two teams.
World Friend do just dominate the mid pack, getting into the early top 2, potential top 3. No, it's the 1-4 at the moment, but the double nanas are very threatening for the ERB players in 2-3, as Xale can feel free to just drop these wherever or try and slow trail to get his mates up into the further top spots.
Yeah, we see ERB trying to be aggressive behind Xale here, just throwing what they can up here, whether it be nanas, whether it be reds, whatever they can get their hands on. As Pop-Off gonna go for the red up here, but
the bomb is devastating.
Beautiful bomb from Xale is going to relegate Pop-Off to 11th here, and not going to be able to do much with this boomerang, except maybe get out last. Yeah, Linko's just getting last.
Pretty much just relegating him to that bottom spot. However, World Friend do look to be clinching onto those tops. That huge bomb.
Huge bomb. Took out actually quite a bit of both teams there. But it will seemingly be slightly more World Friend in good spots, holding top 2 and maybe 4th?
Potentially, however, that plant just devastating.
There's so much happening here at the end of this race.
It seems
Um,
to be just constant barrage of team kills after team kills.
yeah,
That's an ERP bottom 3.
that's an ERB bottom 3 at least. A great race for World Friend as they were able to establish a lot of top presence there. It'll be only second and sixth, but a ERB bottom 4.
Bottom 4 being absolutely huge. Well, friend, definitely going. As much as it's not going to get them in the lead, it's going to bring them back closer to swinging it around, as they all are only down now by around 8 or 10 points.
Yeah. We're going to be breaking into a bit more of a popular track for Lounge rather than 6v6 here on DK Summit. I feel like I don't really see a lot of teams picking DK Summit in a 6v6 setting.
Unless it's a specialist track from a low div team, agreed. I don't see this being picked all that often.
Yeah, one of the most popular lounge tracks for sure, because it's a lot easier to it's so hard to play around your team on this track. This is one of those tracks where it's significantly easier to play around your play for yourself here.
Absolutely. It can be used for reset potential, does have the running capabilities if you are very technically inclined with all the ramp strats and the double cut as well. However, bagging can be huge, as you do tend to see at least potentially 2 shocks on this track, just with how broken the cannon set is due to the fact that the game's item system is distance based.
Yeah.
Pop off again, just dying. You've got a feel for him, man.
Yeah, you've got to feel for him. He just keeps getting hit every time. It feels like every time we're on the screen, he's getting hit by something. It's usually not even his fault.
No, there's nothing he can control, really.
It'll be actually an ERB top 3, I think. Xale and an ERB member are going to fail there. So, yeah, still relatively mixed top spots, and
the earliest
ERB's
of
getting
blue
blued in the
shell.
cannon. Yeah, getting blued in the cannon here.
No, he survives barely, just
Yeah,
about clinching onto the edge of the track.
Mm-hmm. Is Xale going to get away with stopping that much? I'm surprised that the game actually gave him 2 good items there. But it is going to be a shock. Presumably Zacharias shock?
I'm not too sure.
Probably just spammed that, either assuming Bree had it or to keep it from being more devastating later on.
Regardless, did look to be very neutral. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see a second shock, as we do see the smart steering little double cut being done with the power of the shrooms. We do see a Bill approaching into the top spots. However, it does look to be it is a Bree Bill going.
Yeah,
going
Wolfen holding stars in 6-7 though. This pack is so close behind top 2. It's Bree top 2. Bree top 2 by quite a bit. And then everything else behind that is within like a second of one another. Xale, if I'm Xale, I'm using my star right here, yeah.
The chain
skip it off. Unfortunately, the red gonna skip the ERB member and hit Zakaria.
All the triple greens around him as well. He has to be careful for those, both ahead and behind him.
Yep. Hitting the smart steering shot, and is now gonna have a Beyblade battle here at the very end.
No, he throws him forward to let him rip. And dodges Pacomb's green shells. However, that is a top 2-4 at minimum for ERB.
Yeah, a lot of World Friend in the back there. There will be the 2 ERB there, but top 2-4-5 is more than enough to keep ERB maintaining their lead for the time being. World Friend had some momentum for a little bit, but a great job of snapping it there by ERB.
Yeah, definitely. As we do look, as the first half of the war wraps up, ERB up 22 points compared to World Friend, 257 ERB, 235 World Friend. We have seen some tight races. We have seen a lot of back and forth already, whether it's just the fact that we've gotten a lot of the base game out of the way, or just a lot of the main base game staples, might be the deciding factor in that, as we do see, we have been seeing more DLC picked. However, going back to 2 tried and true classics from the base game, Twisted Mansion and also TikTok Clock. Yeah, looking to be TikTok.
It will be TikTok Clock here. Just postponing the inevitable. We're going to be playing Twisted Mansion eventually.
I mean, that's if one of them that's if one of the teams do decide to pick it, or just keep religiously picking it from here on out. We will have to see.
Right. Gonna be yet another runner here in the form of TikTok Clock. Just no shroom cuts. Shock actually is pretty effective here. Um, but as far as like any other power items, really not gonna be doing much. A great hit from Xale there early on. It actually appears it might have been lag though, as yep, gonna get hit out, and it's gonna look like a probably top 3 early
Does
for
look to be a
ERB here.
Yeah, ERB top 3 very early on. You do see a lot of World Friend in the back. You do
Already
have the
10
one that
points for Pop Off.
yeah, Pop Off now just being allowed to run, taking that little Nisk. It is looking like World Friend are gonna have to play the shock game. A gambit that can blow back in their face on this track, as there are no shroom cuts as you mentioned earlier, Ali, but who knows?
Yeah. Bree looking like they're 4 of top 5 though at the moment. So it's going to be up to what happens here in the back. The only player at shock distance is that Black Yoshi in last. So World Friend's going to have to do a little bit more slowing down if they want shock. They are going to get blue, but that's not going to matter. It's still going to be at ERB top 5. There's the shock.
That's gonna swing things drastically
So big for World Friend.
as Xale, and I didn't catch the inward that was near him, but
Yep. Going to run out Aptics, and yeah, this is World Friend's race to lose now. Such a good shot call, such a good stock execution, and they are sitting with top 3 at the moment.
and constant dodge is still in the pack, just constant invincibility frames to dodge if any ERB items thrown at them.
Yeah, ERB doing a good job of managing the mid pack though for the time being, turning what would have been a disaster race into something salvageable, but a World Friend Bomb going to do a little bit more damage, a World Friend Red going to do some more damage, some Fire going to do more damage, and World Friend, I think, just got the momentum swing back that they needed to keep themselves in this. Yes, they did.
Top 2, 5, 6, yeah, definitely strong showing from that shock was the momentum swing needed. Otherwise, you probably would have seen an ERB top 4 at least at the end of that, allowing them to break away as the differential only comes down to 6 points between each team. It's now just going to be interesting of what track each team picks, as we've not seen World Friend be able to capitalize on the Toad's Turnpike yet, or the Paris Promenade.
Yeah, there's that DK Mountain pick I keep talking about. I wasn't sure if we were actually going to see it, but there it is. Outside of Mushroom Gorge, now that it's already been picked, the worst inward track of the other 95, I do believe.
And they're not able to dodge that bullet.
So
World Friend's
gonna have to find a way here.
Whether it be through shock, it's most likely going to be through shock, as of course another cannon box like we did see with DK Summit, just allowing the back spots to pull broken items due to the distance base items. So whether they're able to pull up in bills, stars, or ghosts towards the end of the race, we shall see. But it is definitely going to be a case of ERB just trying to clinch onto the top spots and trying to capitalize on the inwards downfall.
Yeah.
As we do see Hugler read it off the cannon very early on for World Friend.
Yes. Xale going to be holding down first, and he's going to need to help his inward mates out as far as holding down the front spots. Unfortunately, going to be failing the Mountain Disc here, but has running support from his team here, as going to be holding on to top 2 for the time being, but see how much time Zakaria just lost for existing.
He went from 1st to 5th purely just for playing a bike that turns different.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly why ERB is picking this track here. But great work from World Friend to mitigate that disadvantage as they find themselves back in top 2.
Might be the potential use of an ERB shock, as well as we do see a lot of them in the back. I believe there's bottom 2 at the moment, or at least 9 bottom 2.
They're going to get redded before set, and going to be shocked before set. That was a Bree shock, I would have to imagine.
Most definitely, top 2 after set. Ghost coming up with triple
Pop-Off dodging with Bill. Pop-Off's in an incredible spot right now, so close to first. If he gets this Bill off in 6th, Pop-Off is absolutely set for this lap 3 upcoming here. Probably going to use this when he lands from the cut, I would imagine.
Yeah, just sends him straight to first if he does that. Yeah,
Yep.
it sends the mill. He has the triple shrooms in first.
And this is
ERB now
ERB
top
top
3.
3. Such a good shock from them after the amazing
Blue,
World Friend shock we saw on TikTok Clock.
Blue's now not really a threat considering Popoff's now just able to hold that shroom in first. So
Barring a ghost, of course.
it is now just going to be a case of, are World Friend going to be able to pull the second shock? Are they able to swing back around with the momentum?
They are bottom 2. Those triple reds could be big. However, it is World Friend in 4th. So not going to be able to take advantage of pulling that just yet. And yeah, 4th isn't going to be dropping too far ahead. So those triple reds, a bit of a curse, actually.
Yeah, just nothing they can really do when one of your teammates is in a higher spot than you, and you do just have triple reds. He does have a lot of items, is playing aggressive with the backs at the moment. Xale, bomb on the bridge, is probably just going to hold down the 5th. Bree pretty much looking to secure at least a top 2, maybe even a top 3.
Yes, and they will do it. Yep. As every time World Friend has gotten the momentum, this match, ERB has snatched it right back, and that's why they've been winning this whole time. Yes, it's been back and forth, but like it has been a minute since World Friend has held the lead.
I mean, we could see ERB try and clinch it out as we only have 4 races left. World Friend are going to have to pull off something phenomenal, whether it be
Yes.
using the Toads Turnpike pick, whether it be using another reset track. As they do look through, we do see Twisted, we do see ERB just
can't be surprised by this at all.
Yeah, no. We want to see both teams World Friend trying to gain back any momentum that they're just clasping onto at the moment. Bree just wanting to keep the momentum going and close out the match. As we
Yeah,
do see
and
Rainbow Road 7.
yes, this is so important for ERB. They have to execute on this race here. If they allow World Friend into top spots, then like good luck taking them out. This is one of those tracks where if you're in first going into section 2, then you just kind of win, because past section 2 there are no item sets that you can bag on. Obviously that matters less now in wave 6, but it absolutely is still a factor. Like shocks are just less common because they're so hard to pull.
And even still, with this being a section-based track, shocks were never going to be that common to begin with. So
Yes.
just getting into those top spots early is going to be a case of capitalizing. As we do see the funny laggy turn as Xale gets bumped, knocked out by a banana. You never know what's going on with that turn. It seems like 17 people are falling around you at the same
Bree able
time.
to hold their top spots, but it will be quite a bit of World Friend behind them, dominating the mid pack once again. It's just what they do.
I think it's just going to be a case of Bree just wanting to at least hold on to the top 2, not really wanting to do much more than that. Just trying to get whatever spots they can, just try and get the small positives, because that's all they really need
Yeah,
at
they
the
just need to,
moment.
they don't need a huge race. They just need to win.
Exactly.
They'll be careful.
He's careful. He's very careful. He's extremely careful. 3 reds on the bounce.
Yes. And yep, going to get ready here. That's such a bad spot to get redded. Gonna miss the set, gonna miss out on all those tricks, and he has been relegated to the back now.
Pretty much, yeah.
As far as the mid pack, there's a little bit more ERB hanging around the mid pack, but they're just gonna keep holding that top 2, and that's just all they need. They can just hold that top 2 and have like 1 or 2 supporting spots behind them.
We
Then
do
they just
see
win this
the
race by a small amount, and that's it.
Well, if I remember in the start, is able to take out Popoff. Popoff opting to go for the glider to get the extra box. But it does still seem to be that ERB top 2. World Friend have just not been able to capitalize and break into it until this blue at the very end. Whether this is actually going to do anything or not, no. First is passing the line.
Yep. Yeah, just Popoff needs to gain like 1 spot here. Yeah, top 2, 6, 7 is like it's a small win, but that's it. The small wins are so big right now.
Exactly.
It'll actually be burger spots here, for ERB, but that's all they need. Top 2, 6, 7, bottom 2 is just small enough of a win to keep World Friend from actually getting momentum. And now when they had, like before going into that track, they had 4 races to get a plus 30. Now they have 3 races to get a plus 30. That's the math that you think about there.
Pretty much, yeah. World Friend again, just needed to clinch onto those big races. However, ERB, they're up 32 from what we can see at the moment. Legit, all they need is small races and just to be above 40 points ahead of the other team by the final race to secure themselves a spot in the finals. So ERB just getting track after track after track, able to keep that momentum going as we do see Cloudtop Cruise, a devastating one for the inwards to start off with just because of the mushroom pad, benefiting the outward players being able to perform super bounces.
This could be the match for ERB here. A good enough race here is not mathematically yet. It can't be mathematically over after this, but
Mm-mm.
like if ERB makes this like a huge race and it's like 50 points in 2 races, then you're probably looking at curtains. World Friend knows how important this specific race is, and they are absolutely making sure of that. They're already dominating the front spots here. It'll be a bit of ERB up here, but World Friend off to an early top 2.
Xale
Unfortunately,
does,
will be Xale getting trailed, as well as Ramsu. Mars in the
yeah,
back as well. And yeah, a lot of fronts and a lot of bottoms for World Friend, as actually it's going to be ERB dominating the mid pack for once.
it's kind of what they need though at the moment. Wolfriend just, they might want to try and capitalize on the shock or just capitalize on all the powerful items you gain from the mid pack to see whether they can get the climb into the top spots. As shock, whilst it can be devastating on this track, not as effective as it is on other tracks, as we do see Wolfriend in top 2, top 3 at the bare minimum. A lot of ERB in the back.
Yep. So many front spots for World Friend, actually. They'll be looking at 5 atop 6 here. It'll be just Aptix up here. World Friend gonna have to be careful here with this. Okay, the boomerang's gone. Honestly, I feel like they just let Aptix stay here. Because if they can hold 5 atop 6, then that's like all they need to get a huge race. Hugo gonna get aggressive though. And he's gonna get the hit. That's a World Friend top 5.
Wolfriend just need to hold on to this. They have one person in the back just in case ERB do pull the shock, is able to dodge something if things go wrong with the shock. However, the triple greens from
triple greens from Bacom and Xale not pulling offense could be huge. If Bacom can hit 1 or 2 of them here with the rocket greens, gonna miss the first one on Hugo. Gonna throw them up. No smart bounces yet.
Might even smart bounce himself. No, fortunate enough not to. But does get back. Still the top 5.
Does get hit. Xale probably gonna get past here, but pulling a shroom at last set is so big. Zakaria gonna get hit. And there will be one ERB member making his way up the front, but that's a World Friend top 4.
The shot coming far too late for ERB to even capitalize. A lot of the dodges in the back spots.
Yeah.
Top 4, 8-10. Very, very huge race.
All of a sudden, this war is close again. ERB is still gonna have the lead by like roughly 10-ish, but that's exactly what World Friend needed, and we have a match again. Down to +6 here. World Friend has not had the lead since race 1, and it is now down to a ERB +6 with 2 more to play. What happens here in these final 2 races?
It's going to be a case of whether World Friend can finally start getting the track picks to help them capitalize. It just seemed to be ERB after ERB track pick, constantly on and on again, as we do see Paris Promenade getting picked for World Friend, of course, benefiting the inwards. Fitness Park going for Coconut Mall, a bit more of a mid-spot track with the early shortcut and the bill extensions as well, with some running capabilities, but definitely going to be relying a lot on bagging.
Yeah. We're going to see World Friend is finally going to get a track pick for what feels like the first time in quite a while. And getting Paris with momentum could be massive here for World Friend. This... I know I just said this about I just said this about Cloudtop, but like now you have momentum, you're on your track pick. This is the race. This is the most important race of the set up to this point.
Being told
set yourself up nicely for race 12 here, and
yeah, exactly. Both teams with the capability to do that. Getting info from the chat that it was a World Friend shock at the end of Cloudtop. Makes sense considering how delayed it was. ERB would have been ripping that way sooner. So
yep. World Friend gonna hold on to an early top 4. Not quite sure how they're doing on coin counts though, as Bree members are pretty easily catching up to them. One making his way into 4th with a green. Just gonna trail that. Might go aggressive and try and throw it up to Ramsu, or just outline and trail him. That also works.
Bit of a trade though, as we do see Ramsu and the ELB player both just die from each other's trails. But Wolfriend is seeming to hold on to the tops at the moment. The top three
Yeah.
is realistically what they just need at the moment, whilst ERB are going to be farming for the Shark. Xale trying to force the dodges out of ERB to make sure they don't use them for when the Shark might
Yeah,
come.
gonna get one, but still quite a bit of ERB holding dodges. If Xale pulls a star here, okay, something's up. Because he was not that far from first, pulling that star in 7th. So Xale definitely suspects that something could be happening. Mars billing up. Mars might have saw something in the back before he used that bill. And yep, there's the shock.
Only
That
seems to be
actually
one,
could have been a World Friend shock, honestly.
as we do see
World
Xale
Friend is
just
now looking at top 4. Xale, with such a good, whether it be a prediction or just a call, I wouldn't be surprised if he called that shock had World Friend pulled it, but wounding up being an amazing shock for World Friend here. And they're now sitting pretty comfortably in top 4. One of them
home
opting
as
to go
well.
wide, gonna hold on to 4th, but it's all ERB behind this top 4. So what's gonna happen here at last set? A huge break, but
Second
there's a
shock.
second shock.
This
That was Breeze. That was Breeze.
has to be Breeze, as we do see pop up with the Reds. This is going to be
Pop up
huge.
with the Reds.
Might only be able to clinch 2, maybe not enough to get 1, but at least
Yeah, not enough to get second, but has the support of his teammates around him. What happened behind that 2-3? World Friend held their ground. World Friend held their ground. It's a slight win. It's a slight win. They'll have taken the lead with that. But this is practically tied going into race 12.
Both teams are now just going to pick a track that they're comfortable with, or just one that they believe is going to win them the war.
Yep. It is a +2 for ERB. This is essentially tied.
Anyone's
for all
game.
intents and purposes. Anyone wins this.
Game.
What a war this has been. What a war this has been, Nat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arguably even better than match 1 here. And it is such an important decision here for ERB. Not quite sure what to go with. Hovering Baby Park? Are we insane? We are insane. We are hovering Baby Park in a race 12 situation.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to make of it.
I am also speechless. Like, Toad's Turnpike to be expected. Mall, sure, if you're comfortable on it. Baby Park is a choice. We're not going to see it. We're going to see Toad's Turnpike. So vital for World Friend that they got this track now. I would imagine they wanted to save it until match 3, but, like, this is just as important as a match 3 situation. Get it out. Get it out here now.
They need to rip this in the prime spot. As much as Shock is good here, World Friend capitalizing on the fact that this is just very, very good for Inwards Online, just being able to take the tight lines, whereas Outwards having to do a lot of snaking just to even keep up.
Yep. I would imagine the Outwards on World Friend also should be extremely familiar with the track, otherwise they wouldn't be picking it.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Popoff actually going to be able to hold on to first here for the time being, but just so much World Friend behind him. Yep. Dominating the mid-pack once again.
They have fire in the mid-pack as well, World Friend, so...
Someone's going to have to slow down for Shock eventually, and it's going to come down to who pulls it, I feel like.
It looks like Bree at the moment needs it more, as Popoff's the only person up there.
Popoff getting hit out will create a World Friend top 3. Zakaria not quite able to get up there, but still World Friend dominating the front, and this is a Bree bottom 3, actually, so...
They need Shock, and they need
now
it
or never.
now.
It's now or never. Popoff not quite at distance. Last is at distance, and I believe 11th is as well, but...
Not opting for the chain on the Golden by sitting at the set is just getting killed by everything in the pack at the moment. Just flying back in his face.
Bree actually able to make their way into 2-3-4. There's the shock from Bree. It'll be Frittix using that, just dodging no one. I actually kind of agree with that play.
They dodged one of Bree and it goes.
To win as is. Yeah, holding 2-3-4 before the shock, making their way into first, making their way into top 2. Top 3, actually, that green Yoshi.
They just need to hold the top 3. Top 3 confirms them the win.
Breeze 4 top 5 right now.
Second shock, extremely unlikely with the countdown system.
Yeah, no one dodged. There's no way someone dodged with it. World Friend has dodges, but they are not going to have enough time to pull it.
No,
yeah, Bree's just holding the front spot so they have top 4. Bree wins.
This might be
game, set,
match.
Yep, that's it. Fitness Park, ERB, Bree 2, whatever you want to call them, is going to make a D2 finals berth happen with a top 5 on World Friends track pick. What a performance.
No one scoring 100 again either.
What a performance. Both
Debut.
wars insanely close, much closer than you would think from it being a 2-0, but ERB coming in clutch twice in a row to close it out and find themselves in finals of D2.
Very,
So
very
well played
comfortable.
by them. So well played by them.
No,
And World Friend
absolutely.
as well. Like, you cannot get mad at World Friend over losing that. They were absolutely making winning plays. They put themselves in great situations throughout, but ERB just found their way through and was able to come up clutch in a massive race 12 situation on the other team's track pick in the second match, as well as just breaking open the first war,
Yeah, definitely.
being able to do both of those things.
ERB just putting off a phenomenal performance, getting the shocks when they needed to, capitalizing on said shocks as well. For this being their first MKU season as well, we could see the potential of Bree 1 and Bree 2 winning the top two divisions as Bree 1 plays in the finals tomorrow of Division 1. ERB Fitness Park will be playing against Jet Joker in the D2 finals tomorrow. Both teams potentially winning their divisions. A very strong start considering this is, as much as ERB hasn't been around for that long, only playing in Frontier before this would be a phenomenal way to kickstart Bree's second team and pretty much solidify themselves within the top spots of Mario Kart Central current history.
Yeah, for sure. Bree, as we know, Bree 1 has just been the dominant force of the past couple years. Having won not a grand majority of the tournaments. It's definitely been a lot closer than since like the World Friend era, but Bree has definitely just been the team to beat for some time. Obviously, you have your HD in the mix and whatnot, but having the success that their first team has had, and now so a lot of early success from their second team is putting them into conversations with a couple of all-time teams that people did not think they'd be entering just yet. So a lot of credit to them for breaking out as well as they have the past couple of years.
No, definitely. Yeah, they're just very successful season for ERB. The development has been strong. They've been playing very well. As much as the team's only been around for a short time, communication has looked to be really well, and just the synergy and chemistry. As much as World Friend have had that chemistry for a far longer time with a lot of veterans in the community, it does show that you can get a group of people together, put them in front of something they love, and they will just bond over it and strive out to get as many victories as they can.
For sure.
Very, very strong win. GG's to both teams. Both teams cannot be annoyed at that. A very good showing for the D2 semifinals.
Absolutely. Yep. Um with that though, I think that's going to be it from us for today. Of course, obviously be sure to tune in tomorrow for D1 finals of once again HD and Bree. I know it's been the same finals for some time now, but I'm sure it'll
Exciting nonetheless.
once again yeah, exciting nonetheless. Will be just as good of a match as all of their previous ones. So absolutely be there for that, and that's going to do it from us tonight.
Thank you all for watching.